Hi there. So today we're looking at how to use Pear Deck. Pear Deck is an add-on for Google Slides. So when you open Google Slides, you can click on add-ons and then get add-ons. And then from here, you will type in Pear Deck, search for it, and of course, we already see it down here, but we'll let it come up, and then when you click on it, you'll install it. Of course, I already have it installed, so I will just exit out of this. So here is a Pear Deck template that I have used, but I did customize it. So the good thing is using Pear Deck templates, you can use exactly what they have created already. You don't have to make any changes. You just look for the template you want and present it. So that's one great thing about it. It makes it very easy for you to use. Another way is you can go to a template just like I've done here, and then I went in and added different slides within my deck, and I also modified some of them. So for example, here on slide 5, if this was a French class, they could modify the language here, but we have it here in Spanish right now. So as I said, you'll go to add-ons, and once you've installed that add-on, then you would go to Pear Deck for Google Slides add-on and click Open Pear Deck add-on. Over to the right, you're going to see a sidebar that opens, and it gives you lots of features. Here's the template library. So you could click on that and just click here on this little arrow. And then it has lesson builders that will help you create your template. So it even has the suggestion where to put the slides in order. So beginning of lesson, there's a variety of slides to add. Click on back. Slides to go during lesson, in between, and in the middle of this presentation. Click back. And then slides for the end. So these would be more about reflection and things like that, just exiting out of the presentation. And then we have the learning development templates, critical thinking, social emotional. There's some really great things in there. Example questions we have for K through 2, math, science, social studies, world languages, and ELA. So all of these are great templates to use. Again, you can go in and modify as you go to fit your needs with your classes. Another thing is, if you already have a Google slide prepared and you want to use your slide, then you are welcome to do that. You can go back and just make it a Pear Deck session by using past Google slide presentations that you've created. So this one right here is ready to go. So once you're ready to present, you can click on Start Lesson. So we have two options here. There's the student-paced activity and the instructor-paced activity. The student-paced activity simply is that when you assign it to the students, they can do it at their convenience. Anytime that you ask them to do it, they can do it from home at any time. They don't need to do it at the same time. And I would suggest that you start this way. It's simple, and there's no question on how to do it. On the student end, all they do is click on the link that you share with them, and then they start the lesson. And there's arrows at the bottom of the screen that allow them to go forward, and they will either type in text to answer the question or click on something to click and drag to the correct answers. And that is pretty much it. It's really simple on the student end. for the presenter or for the teacher, you can, once you assign that, you just look to see how many students have finished. You'll have the ability to do that. And then you can end the session whenever everyone has completed the session. If, for example, you assigned it to all of your students and one student left the country and for some reason can't do the session, then you could just go ahead and end that session, leaving out that one child's grade or results rather. So that's just to give you an idea. You could leave it open though for as long as you want until everyone's finished. So now I'm here on the instructor pace activity, and I'm going to click on that and show you how you can do it live. So this side allows you to do a live presentation with your students, and you can see results live, and the students can see also what they are doing. However, everyone is recorded anonymously when you're presenting your screen, so that makes it very helpful to students that are shy or not certain about their answer. This won't stop them from answering the question because we're not going to see their name next to their answer. So the things that you need to think about here, you need to share the joinpd.com with your students. So I'm going to open a new tab here, and I'm going to go in as a student, joinpd.com, and then it's going to ask the student to enter a code, and it's VICFC. So the student will type it in. And then the first thing they see here is how are they feeling while they're waiting for you to start the presentation. And they can click on their happy face. We're going to assume they're happy. So here's the student view. Now, as an instructor, you have the option to let them go advance to each slide on their own, or you can advance them when you are ready for them to all go from one slide to the next. And as you can see here at the bottom, it says slide 1 through 10. And there are no arrows, no options for them to go to the next slide. So that means the instructor is in charge of when the students go to the next slide. So I am going to go in as the instructor and start my class. And it shows I'm presenting down here at the bottom in the middle. And then I'm going to click on the next slide. And here is the slide that they can answer. The question is, what do you wonder about today's topic? So now the student is here on this slide because you have advanced the student to this third slide. So the student can type, I wonder if this is going to be hard. And they just type it in. They don't have to hit any keys on their keyboard or anything else. They are done with their answer, and they're just waiting for the instructor to advance to the next slide. So now, as the instructor or / teacher, I am going to go ahead and advance to the next slide. One thing to note is here it says 1 of 1 responses. So of course there's only one student in this session, which is me. I'm the only one doing this. So if I had other people in the class, then it would show how many responses I have here. And you can let the kids know if some of them are taking too long that you're going to move to the next slide if they're not finished in a timely fashion. And in fact, there is a timer somewhere. I can't remember now where that timer is. I'll have to go back and look at that again, but I'll look for that and get back with you on that. But there is a timer where you can put it on their screen and it shows how long they have to answer. So let me get back to you on that a little bit later. So I'm going to advance them to the next slide. And this says draw or type two things you already know about today's topic. So we're just going to, really not going to draw anything. We're just going to, how about it makes them happy. How about that? So now they can wait. They can also type. Once they click the T, I know that this is an interactive lesson. So they can go ahead and type that. Let's kind of move that around. You can erase it. You can use just a line or a highlighter. So now the student is waiting. You also notice that they can use different colors and they can undo anything that they want to erase, or they can delete and clear it rather and start over. So now I will go back as the instructor. And so they need to draw the lines. And here it shows where they are. And I am hoping that I remember my Spanish words now. So now that they're finished with that, I'll go back. And I'm going to go ahead and show the responses, which you can do at any time. When it's a live version, actually you're going to do it after every slide so the kids can see all the answers. And again, it doesn't show anyone's name, and if there was more than one student here, then this would scroll down with all of the images with these answers. So after every slide, it would be a good opportunity to reflect on all the answers. But because this is just a training and I'm the only student here, I haven't done that. But if you have a class, I would recommend going in and showing all the responses after every slide that once they're finished answering. Now, right now, I'm going to go here and I'm going to turn on student paste, which means at any time you want during the presentation, you can turn it on or turn it off. So you can turn it on, let the students' paste go through the slides as quickly as they'd like. But if you want to stop them for some reason, then you can just turn it off. And maybe you would want to reflect on some of the answers. So that might be a time that you would want to turn it off so everybody's focused on the reflection at that time. So, okay, so I'm going here and I'm going to turn that on. And it's telling me I've just turned on student pace. So now when I go in to my student view, now here at the bottom, there's this black line at the bottom, and it shows my arrows now, so I can navigate on my own as a student to the next slide. And so it just says drag the dot to which hemisphere is winter right now, which we'll just add it right there. And then the next step is to drag the operators to the correct spot. So boom. So we are going to the next one. And now this is kind of a break time. I love that Pear Deck has this option, and it has many of these, not just this slide, but they have other little breaks within your presentation. One of them is a circle, I believe, and they can just trace around it and around it and around. And it just kind of gives them a little mental break and just a time to maybe get focused again on, what they're doing. And if they're getting a little restless, then they'll be ready to get started on the next slide. So I love that Pear Deck has these great opportunities to get a little break and as this is called, a stress check. So as a student, I'm going to go ahead and click I'm in a good place and I can focus. So clicking back here as a presenter, and I'm going to show the responses. I can see the response. And again, you can wait to see how many students have responded. It's telling me we are in a student pace mode now. And then the student can now go to the next one and then circle all the items with a B. And so you get the same. So student finishes, clicks OK, and then they're done. So now back as a presenter, I am going to go back to the last slide. I can see that there's the dot there showing there's happy with the session today. And then I can end this session now. So I can click on these three dots and I can leave the session without ending it. And that way it'll leave it open for the students that were absent or just weren't able to finish. They can finish later. So right now I'm going to just go ahead and click end session though. And it's asking me that the session's in student pace mode and am I sure I want to end it? And I'm going to say yes, I am sure. You also have the option to leave and just allow students to keep working. But I'm going to click end. And it's always a good idea to name your sessions. Otherwise, you'll have a bunch of untitled sessions. And this way, when you name it, it will be much quicker to find your lessons that you've provided. So I'm just going to call this Pear Deck Session 101. This check mark here next to publish student takeaways, I suggest you leave that on. It creates a Google Doc in your drive of every student's answers. Now you can go back into the sessions within Pear Deck and see the answers, but you're seeing those answers just like the presentation, how the presentation looks. So you're actually going to see each and every one of those slides and their answers on the slides. The takeaways is actually broken down in a Google Doc, and it creates one for each child. So then you could go in and share that document with your student. You can make comments. They can comment back to you. And if you want them to do anything different, add anything or edit, that's where you can have them redo. But it's just nice to have that to look at for assessment if you wanted to do that. Also, Pear Deck also has a spreadsheet that will pull all the students' answers as well. So you can look at the spreadsheet. I suggest I think the document is a lot more beneficial, but it's good to have both of those for reflection. So I'm going to save and end this session. And it's just telling me it's saving the takeaways. So one great thing is you can just copy this link and send it to your students. And also you can go to your Google Classroom and you can find your class, choose an action, and here's you can type in here, your assignment is to look over your answer from today's Pear Deck session, or whatever you want to say about it, and then just click assign. So we'll assign it to all of your students. And that's one of the easiest ways, especially with second and third grade not having an email address, that going to Google Classroom is a great way to share with your students if you have a Google Classroom class created for your students. So I'm going to exit out of here. I am going to go ahead and we already ended that. Let's see. Oh, I do want to say, now that I'm looking at the code here, if a student joins your session and you've already started and you're doing a live session and someone comes in, you can tell them to go to joinpd.com, and throughout your presentation, the code is going to be listed up here in on your screen so you can see it and easy access for you to show your student, or you can share it as you can see it right here. So that's helpful also, so you don't have to go back and try to find it or save it anywhere else. So I'm going to exit out of here, and I'm going to go to Pear Deck. And try to go in and find those sessions for you. Actually, didn't want to do that. Let me go back. So log in. When the students join in, it will ask them to, it'll take their code, and then the first time they use it, it will prompt them to allow Pear Deck to access their Google Drive. So, you know, when we sign in with our Google account, we click on our email address and then allow. And that prompt will happen when your students first use Pear Deck. And you want them to do that, very important, because that way when you get the end the session, all the answers will have the students' names, and that way you'll know who's answered the questions. So be sure that they get that prompt. They should get that prompt, and it'll sign them in with their Google account, saving their name to their answers. So now I've gone to the web browser and I've logged in as a teacher with Pear Deck, and I'm going to my sessions here. And so here is today's session. So I can actually present this again if I wanted to. And each time you present it, it will you'll get a new batch of answers. You can go to your teacher dashboard. You can you know, end it here. You can rename it. You can archive it. And so that's a great way for you to go in and you can open the dashboard. And then we can see those answers once we open that dashboard. So we can go to the grid layout up here at the top if you select that. And now if there were other students, then they would all their answers would be listed up here. This is something you could highlight to them if you wanted to, but keep in mind their names are listed here. They're not anonymous in this view. But you could go in on your own before you show this to your students. If you were wanting to show this to them, you could click on the star to highlight, help you remember who you're going to highlight. If you're going to highlight a student that's had all the answers correct, or maybe one that wasn't correct, but you wanted to talk about the answers. So you could click on that and easily see it highlighted and go to it. If a student, so you're going to have all the students listed here. However, if you have a student that perhaps didn't answer appropriately and you don't want the students to see the answer, you can click here and hide their response. So it'll be grayed out here to the students. Again, this is another way where you can go in and look at your students' answers and sort through. If I go to my Google Drive and let's see, what is this? Oh, yes. So I have this session. I've got a lot of Pear Deck sessions here, but Your Pear Deck will create a folder in your Google Drive, and you can go to that drive, or that folder rather. And let me see. I think those are some others. What I'm trying to get at, oh, here it is. So yesterday I did this session, and then today I have this session. And so I'll click on the folder, and then here is the Google Doc that I was talking about that shows your students' answers. Now, it automatically, Pear Deck automatically creates this folder in your drive. For students, they will not have a folder created automatically. They can create a Pear Deck folder in their drive and save their sessions if you, for example, shared this with them, but it does not automatically create one for the student, just the teacher. And so this shows the student responses. And so obviously you could go in, insert a comment, and maybe type something, give more details. And then you can go in and share that with your student. Now, so if they have an email address, you can share it with them. But if they do have this in their Google Drive and Google Classroom, then it shouldn't be a problem, and you can go ahead and make those comments and reflections with them because they'll have their document in Google Classroom. So that's it pretty much for today's training and about Pear Deck. So I hope you will get a lot of good use of it. There are many templates out there. If you just search for Pear Deck templates, you'll find a bunch of them out there. There is more options and features with Pear Deck, but just to get you started, I think this will help you out. Again, I recommend starting out in the student paced mode, not the live version like we did today, but if you are brave enough and want to go for it, please do. It's really not that difficult actually, and again, it's actually really easy for the students because they just sign in and then they start answering the questions. And so I would recommend trying them out both ways. But if you wanted to start with the student mode first and then maybe go on to the live version, the instructor pace, then that would be the next option. So there you go. Have a wonderful day.